And welcome to the Big Gunner Podcast. Well, cut down day is here, and already two little surprises. Well, maybe one surprise for sure, but maybe not another one. But today we just found out early this morning that Tommy DeVito looks like he's a casualty. You bring in Jameis Winston, you bring in Russell Wilson. Tommy DeVito's game that he started and played last year against Tampa kind of put the writing on the wall, but he did have a really good preseason. I'm happy for him. Don't know if he'll survive back on the practice squad. I know the Giants would love to have him. Just you can't keep four quarterbacks with how thin these rosters are to get to 53. And I think there might be a move down. And I'll tell you what, Cleveland made that move yesterday to trade Kenny Pickett to the Raiders. And everybody's getting all this pub on Shador, who did not look really good in his last preseason game against the Rams last week. Maybe Tommy ends up in Cleveland or, even New Orleans. Or I think he would be a big help down here in Miami. I don't think the Zach Wilson, Quinn Ewers experiment worked out. He's played in NFL games. He started in one NFL games. He's going to get a job somewhere, and I'm happy for him. We love what he did for our franchise. He was a great team player, good culture, locker room guy. Wish him all well. Hopefully we get him on the practice squad, but highly unlikely. Number two, big cut to me, and I was going to bring this up today, so I guess I don't have to, put my foot in my mouth, was I really thought Dante Miller, Turbo Miller, was going to make the squad. Looked really good in the pass game. Love his burst. Thought we might want to save some money, and maybe the way it came out, maybe Singletary would be a guy that we could move and get some money on. He just didn't look like he played, but he must be a Dable guy. So they cut Turbo Miller. It means Devin Singletary, Scatterboo, and obviously Tyrone Tracy are the three backs that we got. So big stuff this morning. We're sad to see Deontay Johnson go. I like the player. He started a game last year at the end of the season, had 7 tackles due to injury. Just, I don't know. I mean, didn't like him. I like that they got rid of him early. He might be able to latch on with the team or back on our practice squad if it doesn't happen. I think he's a guy who can play in the league from what I've seen. So we'll see. I know we love McFadden. I haven't been a huge fan. Hopefully, my attitude about that gets changed. I root for everybody. When you put on a blue jersey, that's the most important thing. So we're not here to cause any riff. We're just here to just speak our piece and basically let what we think is, stuff that an educated Giant fan can give. So, we'll wait to hear the cuts today. I don't know what we're going to do with safety. TJ Moore's injury opens up some length at corner. I think we're pretty deep at corner, but not so much at safety. So I think there's might be a need. There's a rumor that we might be trading for an extra safety, which might happen. The young guy from Michigan, I think, and Art Lane or not. I don't know if they're going to make the team, but we're probably going to keep one of them at least until we do make that trade. Because I don't think you can go with 3 safeties. Unless they make the trade, they go with 3 and keep depth at other position. The other position I think I'm really fascinated by is tight end. We know Theo Johnson's going to make it. Thomas Fedoni looked like he had a really good camp. Dulcich looked very good. Manhurts is our best run blocker, and that would leave Daniel Bellinger, who we were high on coming out of the draft, but his production has been down in regular season games, but he didn't get a lot of big looks. Is Daniel Bellinger a cap casualty? Is there a trade in the works? Maybe someone might like him and want to trade. But 5 tight ends probably won't see, but I think we might keep 4. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the tight end room. The wide receiver room, does Bo Collins make it? Does little Jordan Humphrey make it? Gunnar Olszewski had a very good camp, but I don't know that we need 2 returners. It looks like we're going to stay with what we had. There's just a lot of moves to be made. We know we're going to have 3. Again, it's all about, putting this roster together, getting ready for Washington. We'll talk more about that Washington game next week. But we'll make some predictions and things like that. One of the things I wanted to look at this week was the Giants over/under wins. Now, we've broke down the schedule. We see that we have 5.5 is our total with a little plus money. I just find that what I'm seeing, and especially after the New England game, a decisive 42-10 win, where there was just a lot of emotion on that sidelines. And I'm going to take you back to 1984 in my position with the Giants. So I was a visiting team locker room manager in the USFL, and I got the job basically on the fact that I could, I had some experience. And just picture a diehard Giant fan getting a job in the organization where you can be on the sidelines, pat players coming off the field, encourage players, players will listen to you. You think like you have an impact. I don't know if I had an impact. Some players told me I did, but I was a guy who, all the negativity surrounding the Giants at that particular time, coming off a 3-12-1 season, I just wasn't having it. And what I see on that sidelines is I would have fit in clearly on this sideline today. I'm an emotional guy. I get deep dive into these games. If it goes bad, I'll scream and yell. When it's going good, I get humbled when I kind of don't want to get too good. But one of the things as a handicapper, not to break the subject, one of the things as a handicapper is I kind of like to bet against the Giants because I'm happy either way. If we win, it's okay. If we lose and I get some money, that's okay. But maybe sometimes we can even bet them as a favorite and take the dog price, and I fall in the middle, and I'm happy both ways. But I'm not afraid to really be honest when it comes to my team and put out a game where I would bet against it. I've done it in the past. You've seen it if you follow me for a couple of years. And I think that's really kind of what I see with this team. I just love the interaction. I love what the culture is. Dable made statements to that in the press conference. Well, not press conference, but in his video recording of his post-game speech. And I love this. I'm a huge fan of emotion. I think it helps. One thing I don't like is emotion on a defense when they score a touchdown, because statistics tell you waste all that energy and you got to get back on the field. And the offense seems to get revved up and scored a 60% clip to bounce back at you. And we'll keep paying attention to that this year. We didn't have many defensive scores last year, so I didn't have to really pay attention to that. But, I just look at this team and see a different team. Nothing like I've seen under anything Brian Dable has done. And I think when your back is against the wall, as it is with Brian Dable, you see the clips and you get more into you have more access today than you ever had, in decades past. And it's really good. When you're out there, people are shooting videos. You get them posted from all people that go to training camp practice. The team will post something. And it's nice to feel like you have a little bit of inside thought. And I can remember from my time that, it's great. It's good to have it. But the togetherness I'm seeing on this team is eye-catching to me. And I think it could amount to something coming the regular season. And I love the fact, I've said this now numerous times, that we're starting not so much on the road, but I love that we're starting with 2 division games against 2 opponents, one that we've had success with up until last year in recent years, and one that we've really struggled with in Dallas. And Dallas is going through some changes. I know the Commanders got Terry McLaurin in, which I was kind of happy for him, but sad to see because I didn't want to go up against him. I think he's been one of the more underrated receivers in the league and has done some damage to us, especially last year. And then, the Micah Parsons scenario is big in Dallas. So I don't know. I think it'll be settled by the time he'll be on the field, my prediction, come week 2. I just cannot see I can't see this thing going any worse for Dallas than it already has. I think it's going to be, if he's not on the field, it's going to be the big story leading into the Philly game, to a point where I think they'll get it done for us. But I think he's going to be on the field a week from Thursday. That's just an outside prediction, but I definitely will think he'll be on the field against us. So, I'm just looking forward to what we're seeing with this team. I love the game. Darts throw to Gunnar Olszewski, I will tell you, showed me a lot. What he had done, stepping up in the pocket, throwing it, the ball right on where Olszewski could take it and run upfield. I think he got at least 10 or 15 yards of that 50 basing on ball placement. So I love what I'm seeing out of Dart, and so does the rest of the league. We went after Mike Tannenbaum a little bit, saying that he thinks Dart should start. I think Brian Dable's doing the right thing starting Russell Wilson. I think if it really goes bad, we'll see him by week 5 in New Orleans. I think if we're 0-4 for sure, we're going to see him. I think early injury, I might think that we might get a little Jameis Winston first if something should happen in week 1 and Wilson gets dinged up. I don't know that we would go to Dart right away. I think he'll be prepped. I think it'll need a week of prep to know that he's going to be the starter. I think that's how it'll work. I know that if we jumped Winston for Dart in an injury case scenario early on in the season, I think the fan base will let us know it better work. But I got confidence in Jameis. I just love his, when I saw him get ready for the Pittsburgh game with Cleveland last year in the snow, and he was acting like he was blessed, never played a game in the snow. How lucky can I be? I was cracking up, and I said, "Man, would I like to have something like that in our locker room?" And sure enough, we get him, and he's providing the clips, eating W's, and the three friends that are the three amigos that are sitting there and talking into the camera at the end of the game against New England. Maybe they knew that maybe Tommy DeVito was going to be the odd man out, so they did this clip to have him going away present. But I'll tell you, this is I kind of like the quarterback room. Might be the biggest upgrade I think I've seen in the Giants in a long time. I like all three of these guys over Daniel Jones right now for the last 6 years. So a lot of good things happening on this roster. I think we'll see what happens. The other thing I want, I'm brief, and I think it's the most important position is the offensive line. The key to me is this. Key for me is they brought back all the players last year on a weak offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus and the stats. They must have seen something in these players to bring them all back. We didn't go out and sign a free agent. The only new guy we have is Mobo, and he's going to make the roster. But it's just very interesting to see that this is how their approach was. Fix the quarterback, the offensive line will be fine. And in the beginning, when Andrew Thomas was healthy, our offensive line was much more efficient, played better. The key component to this is John Michael Schmitz. He has to get better and has to play at a higher level for this line to be successful. And then at right guard, there's two things that I think we could see. We're going to start off with maybe Van Roten, a veteran player, if Evan Neal doesn't beat him out or Josh Asudu doesn't beat him out. But what can happen is if Maboa is still continuing to progress and get better, we may move him to right tackle, move Eleanor inside at right guard, which could be a possibility. But Eleanor played there in in Las Vegas. And I know he's a very versatile lineman, moved over and played well at left tackle, veteran player. That might be where we match our roster to be really where we're at our best. Possibly. We'll have to see what happens. But watching who lasts, my prediction is the 5 starters, Mabo, Schlotman as a backup center. They might not do that because they could move Van Roten as a backup center and do what I said there. Evan Neal, I think, will make the roster from what I saw. And Josh Asudu. So we could be 9, possibly 10 on the offensive line. I think with going to 3 quarterbacks, that might be where the position goes. Having 3 safeties might add another position at corner. I think we're pretty deep with Nick Jones and the other corners that we have. I think we have some depth there. Flott looks like he's going to beat Banks out, so we'll have depth with Banks, and Phillips will be in the inside. Who I love, Andrew Phillips, I think a great tackler, tough guy, good guy. Almost looks like a linebacker / corner in that position. I think he can play the run very well. And then of course on our down linemen, the inside tackles is going to be some approach. Does DJ Davidson make it? Robinson Harris, Noches. We have Jordan Riley, who's had a decent camp, and the draft pick Alexander. So I don't know if there's depth, there's players there. I don't know if the quality is going to be there. So that's really kind of where we stand. The wide receiver situation, I think I brought it up earlier. Jalen Hyatt's going to be a tough. I'd be surprised if he makes it. I just didn't see enough out of him. A couple of drops in the, a couple of drops in the game against New England, but did catch a big touchdown, bounce back with that. So we'll see what happens. Burst, that's going to be an interesting, decision to see what happens. But we'll know by 4:00 today. Might come back to you later in the week to talk rosters, any significant moves, any trades, anything that we're doing that might affect our roster. But looking forward to this week 1. This is a great time of year. Anticipation, what we're going to do. So the Giants now are 28-1 to win the division. As crazy as it sounds, I might throw a buck or two on it. I know it's nuts. The NFC East doesn't repeat. Might be worth a flyer. something happens, injuries, whatever. Maybe we catch a break. 28-1. I've never seen a value that high for any Giant team ever, and I feel positive about this one. The 5.5 wins, we're going over. We just think that we're a 7-8 win team for sure. Maybe catch 9. The playoff spot, I think, would be very tough to bet, but the odds would. I don't know what the odds are. They should come out next week. We'll talk about it if we can get a wild card. I just think it's fun, to dabble in this stuff. But for $50 to watch our team and know if they won a division, I didn't have it, is probably the main bet that you make. So now heading over to baseball today. You got the Marlins, Waldrep and Alcantara. Marlins win 2-1 last night. Kind of like the Marlins as a dog. Alcantara's had some better starts. Maybe the Braves get bored playing here. I'll take a shot with the Marlins at plus 11. Phillies and Mets. Phillies get off to a 3-0 lead and get blown out 13-3 last night. Manet has been a little shaky against Luzardo. Philly is a favorite 107. Probably would pass. Might like the over 8 in that if the Mets bats get going. Might take the Philadelphia win to a total of over 4.5. Mizorowski struggled against Fat from Arizona. Don't like the game. If I had to take it, I might take a shot with Arizona just because of Mizorowski's struggles. Keller and Palante, Pirates at Cardinals. Keller's pitched better. Probably like the Cardinals in this spot. Just a better hitting team, better lineup. Cubs at Giants. Giants, a little bit on the road. Boyd going at 1:30 against Verlander. Cubs coming off a sweep and a day off in Anaheim. Might like the Cubs in this spot. Reds and Dodgers. Kershaw 173 over Martinez. Kershaw's been highly successful. Tough against young hitting teams like the Reds. Kind of like the Dodgers in this spot. Don't like to lay 173, but like the Dodgers. Reds get shut out 7-0 last night with Hunter Green on the mound. Red Sox and Orioles. Bradish and Giolito. Might like the Red Sox here with the win last night, only laying 106. I kind of like the Red Sox at that spot. Rays and Guardians. Baz against Messick. Kind of like the Rays, coming off a 9-0 lead, getting 103. I think that's a decent price. Bassett and Ober. Ober struggled. Bassett 156, been great at home, like the Blue Jays. They're laying 156. Royals and White Sox. Got to ride the White Sox train. 2 consecutive shutouts. We're getting 100. Royals fighting for a playoff spot, laying 110. That's a low number. Tells you the White Sox. Odds makers think White Sox. Angels and Rangers. Kikuchi and Corbin. Corbin's had his struggles of late. Angels win 4-0 last night against DeGrom with Soriano. Gucci's basically the Angels' ace. Wonder why that line's low. Might lean a little bit Anaheim, but I probably wouldn't play it. Screwball gets beat yesterday. Lose 8-3. Tigers' Charlie Morton's pitched very well against as a Tigers consecutive wins. I like the Tigers in the spot, like 119. Nationals and Yankees, Gore and Gill. Really no play. Got to think the Yankees keep it rolling after a big win last night. Rockies, Astros, Brown lay 319 against Gordon. Can't really lay 319 in any baseball game, but don't be surprised. Maybe the run line, but I see a 2.5 on the run line. Don't know if I like that. And the Padres, Cease and Castillo. Cease has been a little better. Padres get a little beat up. Probably like the over 7.5 there in that game. So that's it. We're going to come back with a little college football real quick. I'll be on with the Bleacher Brothers Report with Defo at 3 o'clock on tomorrow. We'll have 4 guys talking all sorts of college football, picking games in our show. Look forward to do that. Back with Bury Your Bookie on Thursday on the No Filter TV and Greenlight Ventures. Look forward to doing that always with Jeff DeForest. This week I see the big game to me for the playoffs is probably the Clemson LSU game, and here's why. First of all, the best quarterback matchup of the weekend with experienced veteran quarterbacks, Nussmeier and Kublik. Really like Cade Kublik. I think he's a number 1 draft pick. I would have liked to have come out. I would have been interested in him like I was interested in Jackson Dart this year. So I'm really looking forward to this game. LSU's defense should be better. I hear they have struggles in their offensive line. The game is being played in Death Valley. I think this is the game, and I'll bring it up tomorrow for the name game. We'll say the winner of this game can only use the Death Valley mantra the rest of the season. I think the other school can't use that name. That would be fun to have, the Death Battle for Death Valley. I'm going to take a shot and say LSU, just the SEC pedigree, steals a win here. Everybody all over Clemson, I'm not too sure. Brian Kelly's pressure getting these early games. Last year, USC kind of derailed their season, losing to that game, an expected win. Now they're not these expectations of a loss, but heavy schedule. We're going to see. This is a big game. This will be one I'm going to definitely glue, be thinking about, be watching. I'll be definitely tuned into this one. But I'm going to take a shot at LSU +4 in that game. The other big game, Notre Dame and Miami down here. We grew up a Notre Dame fan. Got a little allegiance, a little like Miami, a little bit being closer to the program by my location. Just a tough spot for the Irish, probably the better team. I think, does the heat get to them? I don't know. Hot everywhere in the country. Just got a suspicion that even though coaching edge to Freeman by game management, but I just think Cristobal cannot make these mistakes and continue to make them. I think he coaches a better game. I think Miami sneaks out with a win, +2.5. So we'll take Miami and LSU. Those are the two big college games that we're looking at. Texas and Ohio State. I might say that this could be the national championship game right here early on. Everybody's talking about Arch Manning, but Jeremiah Smith, to me, is the best player in college football. I would think an outside shot for the Heisman. I think he's the best wide receiver I've seen since Larry Fitzgerald play college football. I kind of like him, like Ohio State as a dog in this spot. I find that to be fascinating that they're an underdog. We'll see how this works out, but it's going to be a tough game. But Texas got the horses. Texas is the lead dog in the ACC prediction wise, so won't be surprised either way. Tough game to pick. Look forward to watching that one. So up until then, get our roster together. Go Giants. We'll be ready for you next week. Might come back a little later in the week. We're going to work hard at trying to get in some guests this year. But look forward to doing Bleacher Brothers and Bury Your Bookie as we continue. Looking forward again to seeing where this roster ends up and seeing if there's a trade in the works because they seem to be a busy day. So up until then, go Blue.